let's get this show on the road. Alrighty, how is everybody doing? Everyone's probably doing a-okay. Let's see. Still getting some things set up here on another monitor. Give me a sec. Okay, I am all set up now on my end. No, this isn't 18 hours early. This is now February 18th, 5 a.m. Let's see here. Yeah, let's go ahead and check out the calendar, my man. Oh yeah, you can see it all right there, coming in 26 minutes. Let's go ahead and review some Canadian politics. Sorry to blind you if you're in dark mode or something. World politics outlook. This is something that I wrote. Canada, Mexico tariff odds, and Vance Munich speech reactions. We're just going to focus on the first part here. Let's see here. So yeah, U.S. tariffs. Canada as of February 16th. Most prediction market participants on poly market are expecting Canadian tariffs to get called off based on poly market bets. For the question, will Trump remove tariffs? I assume that's a misspelling, on Canada before March. Specifically, March 4th is when the tariffs, I believe, come back on. The odds are split 16.5% for yes and 83.5% for no. And I don't know, maybe you can see more clearly if I stretch it out. You can see this line right here at the top is no. This line right here is yes. I should really get the drawing tool back on. Put it on my second monitor so I can click it on and off. So the guys who bet on no up here, the one that has 83.5% probability or odds, the guys who bet on no often make more money than the guys who bet on yes. So you can see here's the distribution of outcomes for who actually makes money, and it compares, okay, generally speaking, if you look at all the people who bet no and all the people who bet yes and you put them on a distribution, what's the likelihood that the guys who bet no are right and the likelihood the guys who bet yes are right? The guys who bet no are right pretty frequently here. Now, we're going to do the same thing for Mexico real quick because it's here. Now, for the odds, will Trump remove tariffs on Mexico before March? The odds are actually slightly better. It's 14% yes, 86% for no, so it's really not that better. However, here's the interesting part. The people who bet no make way more correct bets, significantly more frequently. So look at this. The no guys are way down over here on this side of the distribution compared to yes. And if you look at the Canada guys way back here, look how close they are together. This looks way more likely based off the people who know that we're probably going to have. I'm just gonna turn down the music. We're probably gonna have at least the Mexican tariffs get put back on. Yeah, we're very likely going to get both, Ari. I 100% agree. Considering the odds are like 85% plus for both of them. So now, with that out of the way... So we got 23 minutes left. Let's see how much more we can look at. This is my weekly outlook notes. I'm just going to search for CAD. Let's see here. Canadian dollar... among the currencies, let's go ahead and actually zoom in here. The euro and Canadian dollar are among the currencies that we continue to expect will underperform against the US dollar. All right, let's go on to the next one. Euro CAD, we expect Canadian tariff threat to be watered down while the euro one comes into focus, so I'm not too sure about that considering the likelihood that those tariffs actually do get put back on. CAD implied volatility, yeah, alright. 25% tariffs set for March 1st, but given, okay, so they might be coming back March 1st instead of 4th. Okay. Let's see here, anything else? CAD can see, yeah, look at this. All these outlooks are saying, hey, you know, the Canadian dollar might see reduced tariffs, which makes me think when we go and we look at the Canadian dollar, it makes me think, oh, maybe we will end up, if I go ahead and I move this to, yeah, so this is the first trading day closest to March 1st. Which is the 3rd of March. So tariffs would be re-implemented over a weekend. It'd be this whole scenario all over again. We'd have another gap up scenario. Because remember, tariffs here were implemented, right? They were implemented on February 1st. And that was the market closed on February 1st and 2nd. And now we're doing the same thing. It's deja vu. It's literally deja vu all over again. Tariffs are going to potentially be re-implemented over a market weekend. So I, from this point, kind of want to be long Canadian dollar from here until there's that legit. And considering the US is really focused on getting a deal done with Russia at the moment. In fact, the US and Russia diplomatic teams have met. Saudis host a meeting on Ukraine without Ukraine. Saudis host meeting. Yeah, I get that. US and Russia conclude first talks without Ukraine as Moscow makes a new demand. All right, let's... He's just looking frickin' Rubio. All right, let's see here. NATO must cancel 2008 promise on Ukraine membership. Is that it? Held more than... Oh, they had a talk for 4 hours yesterday. They're first on ending the war in Ukraine. Gotcha. Conditions were discussed between Trump and Putin. Oh, conditions for a meeting were discussed between Trump and Putin. Gotcha. So we're probably going to, I mean, from what I've read so far, it seems like we're likely going to get a Trump-Putin meeting before the end of the month. Like, that is the goal, for them to meet before the end of the month. Let's see, how much more time do we got? 18. All right, let's keep going. Let's treasury yields are climbing. German power prices slump as Ukraine talks push down gas futures. Oh, that's actually really good. French power discount to Germany eases as fuel gets cheaper. Germany has become more reliant on gas-fired generation. All right, so this is actually really, really good. Yeah, you can see how much. Wow. Yeah, it's fallen 10%. Yeah. In the last week, the price of electricity has fallen 10%. That's pretty significant there. If you're sidelined, gotcha. Anything here to see? Yeah, you can see, yeah, right there. There's the Russian guys on the right, there's the Saudis in the middle, and there's the US on the left. It's a really pretty room. The main thing is to begin a real normalization of relations between us and Washington, Yushakov told Russian state television. Russian delegation to improve US-Russia relations. Yeah, so it seems like we are on our way to normalizing relations with Russia. Let's see. News expectations. I'm not too sure what that's referring to. EU joint funds gaining support as leaders face defense needs. Okay. I heard that the meeting that happened in Paris is effectively a war party where all the people who still want to be at war with Russia for some reason, probably in order to maintain power, as it's not like these people have much to offer staying in power in Europe unless they can stay at war with Russia. I mean, look how quickly Trump is moving. Look how quickly he's getting a peace deal done. And, you know, there's very little criticism that really can be made of Trump at the moment. Like, there are people who say, oh, he's going to just give up Ukraine. I don't think they're just going to give up Ukraine, man. Oh, expectations for CPI? That is the Canadian CPI. It's expected to come in slightly higher, which would make this go up. Essentially, inflation is expected to come in flat, slightly higher. That's the net expectation here. Nothing too crazy. It should make, net, it should make the Canadian dollar move up and to the right. We should see a weakening. Actually, real quick, let's actually go to a 1 hour chart. Yeah, I wouldn't be terribly... Actually, what's the timing dots? Yep, there it is. You can see. I was like, you know, we have this peak right here, and then you can see we got a bunch of dots right here. Now, don't get me wrong. There's also a bunch of timing dots right here. But I'm just gonna hold my breath until we actually see the thing top out. So kind of two scenarios, but both are to the upside. So dollar appreciation like so. Go ahead and set that to green, which is a more moderate expectation, or dollar appreciation like so against the Canadian. These are the two scenarios here. Yeah. This would be the net move. And that that'd be roughly 30 pips to the upside in this more bullish scenario. Let's check it out on a weekly range here real quick. Yeah, check that out. You're going, yep. You're going here, if not going all the way up here. Wow. Yeah, there's a lot more higher highs in store for the Canadian dollar. Yeah, I will like to be long this for sure, especially off something like this, which is expected to come in flat, if not slightly higher, which could cause the Bank of Canada to take a slightly more hawkish stance. God, look, New Zealand dollar is just getting its ass kicked. Everything is performing terribly against the US dollar right now. The Swiss franc is also doing pretty good, except against the US dollar. Same thing with the yen. So everything's in a move to safe haven right now. Everything's going safe haven, except for Australian dollar, which is relatively flat, except against the US dollar and the New Zealand dollar. So, or rather, the New Zealand dollar is doing terribly against the Aussie dollar. Yeah, the New Zealand dollar is the biggest loser right now. What is going on in New Zealand, man? It's down 40 pips. Wow. Tell me the thing topped out here. We're getting the slow loading of TradingView during New York session. As everyone comes online to load up their indicators, TradingView lags. This is incredibly annoying. Always during New York session. Always during New York. TradingView loads so slowly. Let's just do a quick refresh. There we go. See what I mean? Oh. Yeah, see, loop took too long. That's just because, yeah, hey, look, I just turned it on and off again. And yep, there you go. There is your top. Right there. And this is very dispersed and kind of random. I would be kind of cautious just looking at this point blank for setting expectations. Let's go ahead and try using pivots to set some expectations. Look at the low side here. Well, if you are a true bear on New Zealand, especially against the dollar, looks like the thing's probably going to fall another 50 or so pips. Let's hop back to the CAD. And this thing is just a continuation trade, yeah. This thing is probably going above our 0.5, isn't it? Right up to here. Oh, wow, yeah, it's wow, yeah, so this thing probably goes up to here and tops out. Or I'd set an alert for if it broke this R1, because if it breaks R1, you have another clump of probabilities distinctly up here. So this is what I'd like to call probability gap. It's a very low probability. Sometimes it's, you know, you could see it in next week as well, right? There's this high probability spot, a low probability spot, followed by another high probability spot. And by the way, you can get these indicators from my TradingView. here, and you get access to it on WAP. So if you want, the link to this is in the description, and this is the same spot you get if you want to hop in the Discord with all of the trade research that we have going on here in the research forum, especially for stuff like the Canadian federal election. All this stuff going on in Canada, like reactions to what Trump is doing on tariffs, what's going on with the elections right now, and what the leaders in Canada are all saying about each other to try and win favor. So yeah, you can see here's probability pivot points. You can get access to it. Let's real quick just do one little check. All right, in 9 minutes, we're getting the Canadian CPI. Real quick opinion polling for the Canadian federal election. The Conservative Party is still in the lead massively, but the Liberal Party recently has made a huge comeback. You can see that they've just had a straight up line move right here, man. And I don't know where the hell this is coming from. I have a feeling maybe the New Democratic Party, maybe Singh, did something stupid. Maybe there's just been a new wave of support behind Carney all of a sudden, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense because you would expect that kind of jump to come when Carney was announced to, that he was running. It seems to be that maybe something's going on in this third party race, this New Democratic Party, that's causing people to jump ship back into the Liberal Party. So I got no clue what's going on there. As far as important dates go, March 9th, the Liberal Party is going to have a new leader, and that new leader will become Prime Minister, and that will likely be Mark Carney. And he'll probably be in charge of Canada for several months and won't call an election until he absolutely is forced to call an election on October 20th. So Mark Carney could end up being the Prime Minister, the guy in charge of doing negotiations with Trump on tariffs until essentially for most of this year, for 2 quarters effectively. 6 months, not great, because the guy is not very likely going to be able to strike any sort of deal for Canada that would be good. He's maybe it is, but the guy's very globalistic. Mark Carney, he's very globalistic. He could, Trump can work with Bolivar. Trump could work with Bolivar. So a lot of politicians are saying, hey, will Carney announce an early snap election before October? Because frankly, it's kind of at this point what most Canadians want. In fact, it's like 60-70% of Canadians who were polled after Trump was elected into office in November, before the tariffs were announced, saying, actually after the tariffs were announced, now that I recall correctly, if we go here, there probably, if I scroll up far enough, yeah, you could see this was not too long ago. Most of the people supporting Labour in Canada are very old. This is 65 years plus, and this is 18 to 34. Let's see here. There's Mark Carney. Where's the carbon tax? People are assuming that he's going to go back on his word and enforce a carbon tax. The UK Prime Minister warned Canada about Mark Carney, said he destroyed Britain's economy and he'll destroy Canada's. Again, he didn't do a great job. Let's see here. Where is... Yeah, we'll just find the poll later. Again, it's all in here. That's the whole point of having a research thread. So if you need it, you can find it if you look for it. All right, we got less than 5 minutes here. Let's go ahead real quick and turn on the financial juice. Oh, Hamas Gaza chief. The group is ready to immediately engage in negotiating for phase 2 of the Gaza ceasefire. Whoa. All right, that has to go into the Israel-Gaza spot here. Yeah, that's kind of a big deal. Big deal. And then here's a bunch of statements talking about, yeah, I see no date set for the Putin-Trump meeting. Again, the goal, from what I recall, is, from what I've read, is that they want to get it done. They want the first meeting between Trump and Putin to occur before the end of this month. And an anonymous source told Bloomberg that the goal is to have a peace deal with Ukraine done before Easter, which is April 20th. So very, very quickly we could have peace in Ukraine and some peace in the Middle East. I'm gonna turn this guy on here. So we'll have financial juice on in the background, and we will have our 30-second chart up on. I'd expect a move lower. Actually, we can go ahead and do something along these lines here. There we go. So I'd expect us to move lower if Canadian CPI came in effectively flat. If it comes in a little bit hotter, I'd expect dollar CAD to either continue going sideways or continue appreciating at a minimum. I think if it comes in flat to slightly, if it comes in effectively as forecast, I expect dollar CAD to appreciate, is what I'd be expecting. Yeah, I usually don't want to believe Bloomberg either, especially after all that bullshit with the 3 anonymous sources, right? Remember during January and February? Oh, the 3 anonymous sources talking about how Trump was going to go easier on tariffs and that he was lying. The 3 anonymous sources. Reuters got caught by those fuckers too. Yeah, man, that was a huge mess. I even did.
1 minute ago now, I'll lead with the Canadian CPI year on year.
All right, let's see what you got, Canada. I got one more thing, a couple more things to show after this, and then we'll call it because there's not much else to
So source
cover.
telling Fox saying US is only floating Ukraine election idea.
All right, let's see.
Ten seconds.
Oh, it's... Look at that spread getting crazy, man. Oh, is it coming up?
1.9%, 1.9% as expected. Canadian CPI month-to-month, 0.1%.
Wait, it should be going
0.1%
up
as
if inflation is
expected.
higher.
New York Fed manufacturing 5
No?
spot 7, 5 spot 7, higher than the forecast of -2. Canadian CPI trim 2.7%, 2.7%, higher than forecast of 2.6%. CPI median 2.7%, 2.7%, higher than forecast of 2.5%. Seeing Canadian dollar strength off the back of the stronger than expected CPI trim and median. It's waiting on the Bank of Canada core CPI year-on-year and month-on-month reads.
Yeah, this doesn't make
And also waiting
sense.
on the CPI common and core CPI data.
Why would the Canadian dollar get stronger when the Bank of Canada is on a cutting regime and inflation just came in higher?
A Bank of Canada core CPI year-on-year 2.1%, 2.1%, and core CPI month-on-month for the Bank of Canada 0.4%, 0.4%.
Maybe it's because the year-over-year number effectively came in flat. And the month-over-month effectively came in as forecast, which is technically also flat. But
And also CPI common for Canada 2.2%, 2.2%.
ooh. But all the core measures, so the CPI trim, the median, the core CPIs, like these are bad. I get that the headline is in a good spot,
Month-on-month 0.3%, 0.3%.
but the rest of this isn't good. The rest of this is actually inflationary and a bit more so than the consensus forecast. So that's the initial reaction, I think, is going to get faded here. We'll see. As far as Canadian stuff goes, I'm going to share this. Canada and the United States hockey teams went at each other a couple of days ago. And get this.
So just a reminder earlier on with Fox, from Fox News, they said the US and Russia peace proposal would include Ukrainian elections. And then later on, a source telling Fox that the US is only floating the Ukraine election idea. Also, we have posted out the New York Fed manufacturing report for February on the Financial News newsfeed for you to read through.
Okay. Thank you very much, Financial Juice. Thank you very, very much. Check this out.
They're not even a real country anyway. What's up, guys? It's Benny. Life's all about time.
Whoa. Yeah, it's on 2x speed. So the US, I saw this on X, but I couldn't find it on X to bring it up. Essentially, the United States and Canada had their hockey matches, and this is like a big championship hockey match. I don't follow hockey, man. And what ended up happening is everyone got to sing their national anthem, and when they sang the US national anthem, everyone in the audience booed them because of the tariffs going on with Trump, and all these guys are Canadians in the audience. However, after they all got booed, there was a bunch of fights, and then the USA team beat the Canadian hockey team 3-1. So it was kind of a cultural moment. And so I followed this on X, but not too closely, because I am Canadian, and I'm like, oh man, that kind of sucks. Now, I'm not a Canadian national. I'm a US national. My dad's a Canadian who came to the United States. So, you know, half the family's Canadian, right? But I identify as an American first. I don't really have loyalty to Canada, but I'm sentimental about it because I got family there. So when I see this, I'm like, you know, I'd like them to get along, but you know, I've been in Canada long enough to know a lot of Canadians are sometimes too too polite sometimes for their own good, or just too liberal for their own good. Thankfully, you know, now they got at least Paul Levere in and the Premier of Alberta, so you know, not everyone in Canada is super crazy. You faded. All right. Let's see how it turns out. But yeah, this is also a bullish signal on the boss bands here. When the signal band, right, this signal cloud in blue touches this green cloud, that's technically the bullish trending condition. Oh yeah, let's turn the music back on. But yeah, I'm just still reminiscing about that Bloomberg comment, man. Bloomberg seriously did screw the hell up. Anyways, yeah, there's a little factoid stuff, and then that's this guy's channel. This thing got 1.4 million views with it essentially mocking Trump. And then this is a 1.5 hour debate over who will become the new premier, you can call it like governor of Ontario, which is a really, really important province in Canada. I believe the most important province in Canada economically. So there's not much of a political update to be had until, frankly, March, what is it, 20, when Parliament comes back. So from now until at least March 10th, where Labour elects their new leader, there's a new prime minister, he can decide to bring Parliament back earlier. And here, I'm just going to add this text. US tariffs. So from here to here, Canada is going to be shitting the bed because tariffs are back on the topic. And because Canada is effectively has no leader right now, there's going to be very little effective negotiating going on. And considering there has been no significant updates in the news about tariff negotiation developments between Canada and the United States, or with Canada or with the United States and Mexico, that brings us back to this bit of betting, right? Roughly 85% chance that, I mean, again, based on prediction markets, 85% of bettors on prediction markets think those tariffs are coming back on Canada in March, and then the same thing for Mexico. Yeah, 85%. Those tariffs are coming back on Mexico in March too. And again, this US tariffs date right here is over a weekend, so you can have another gap up scenario. So I'd rather just be positioned long for this thing now, because the word I would use is Canada is currently dickless. Very, very dickless right now. They have no balls. They can't get shit done. They have no leader. It's not going to work. It's not gonna work. Yeah, let's go ahead and hop back here to the 30-second. Yeah, look at that. It's been faded so far pretty successfully. Looks like that might be working out for you, Ari. Let's see. Let me check out what the next stream is. I know we have another stream later today. I think it's the RB&Z meeting, if I'm not mistaken, we're going to be doing a stream for the RB&Z meeting. Yeah, that is right. The RB&Z meeting. And here's the link for the RB&Z stream, in case you want to set a notification or whatever when that comes out. That's going to be in 11 hours from now, a little under 11 hours from now. My goal right now is just try and stream during the major economic events. So at least 30 minutes before one, right? So, you know, central bank meetings, major economic prints, just come on and say, hey, you know, we're going to be trading XYZ event, and we're going to be reviewing any news that has happened that's like immediately important. And yeah, I'll just give my commentary based on pretty much how I feel and what's going on. I'm not going to try and force too much of a schedule, other than I'm going to try and be on when stuff is happening, right? For example, if there's like a brand new tariff that suddenly gets announced. Oh, we got some guys talking in the background. Yeah. If we got new tariffs suddenly announced, I'll try and go live immediately. You know, if there's any breaking news that's moving markets like 50, 100 pips, you know, across the board, you know, something massive, I'm going to try and go live right away. I'll send out an ad, everyone. But that's the goal. Be live when things are happening. And just name the stream the thing that's happening. And we'll use our tools here that I make, right? The probability pivots. We can go... yeah. Probability pivots, seasonal, statistics. This is the old version of probability pivots. There's more indicators here. Like, you don't see on my profile the ranged probabilities. Like, this indicator is a private invite-only indicator that you only get when you get into the trading group. You only find out about range probabilities by watching these streams. I probably could make something public, right? I probably should. But I honestly, when I first made this indicator, I didn't really know where I would take the development. Like, I knew it would show me a distribution of stuff, of return, you know, high, where's the most likely high, where's the most likely low for a given amount of bars back or whatnot. But it required a lot of tweaking. And now that there's a new version of PineScript out, I technically have to reprogram the huge update that I was working on a while ago. I got a lot of programming still on my plate, but I'm not going to complain about that. I always complain about the programming. But I got a lot of ideas I want to crack down. I've been making good progress actually on an update for the timing dots. I really, really want a particular feature for the timing dots. And the idea, I'll just see if I can demo it out. Let's just set this to like 12 hour here. Wow, check that out. Yeah, a lot of highs are up here. A lot of highs are up there too. Anyways. So the idea simply is, what's the acceptable drawdown? So let's say we are okay with the assumption that this here is the low for the week on $CAD. If this is the low for the week, given the current price, what would be an acceptable drawdown from the current high before we should see a continuation? right? So what's this threshold here that we should expect a reversal and continuation to occur, right? So this is like the continuation line. That's the other name I have for it, continuation line. And we can actually answer that question with the data in this indicator. So again, it's like, all right, given this is the low, what's the maximum drawdown from the high we should expect before continuing higher? But I think calling it a continuation line makes more intuitive sense because it says, okay, you know, or maybe it's a pullback line, because that's effectively what it's doing. It's like, okay, what's like the average pullback from the high? What's the average drawdown before you get your continuation? I think that would be very, very helpful. Oh, nice to see you around, Harold. Always. But that's a little preview on what I've been working on. I've been actually reprogramming the guts of the timing dots because I kind of made the timing dots by gluing stuff together that I was working on with range probabilities. So I was like, you know, and I remember releasing it and I'm like, guys, you know, this is like kind of a mess, but I think it might be useful. And now we're like, at least I'm constantly using it to help with setting timing expectations. And, you know, don't get me wrong, it's not, you know, totally perfect. And I've always talked like, hey, there could be ways of improving the visualization rather than just having a bunch of dots, right? But I have to be frank, I've experimented and looked around like, what would be a better... The problem with figuring out how to improve the visualization for this indicator is definition, which is if I come up with an algorithm to like put this all into clumps instead of individual data points, right? Then you kind of lose definition as to like, oh, there's a gap in time on this bar. There's not a whole lot of tops that come in here, right? But it might create a cluster that looks something like this. So we'll just stick with the dots for now. I want to get that drawdown feature in because I think once I start demoing like, oh, this is how you're supposed to use, I'm going to call it a continuation line. So then when you break the continuation line, you're no longer likely to have continuation, right? So when I have that feature set up, I really want, I've been thinking about it nonstop for like 2 or 3 weeks now. And I'm like, I can't get this idea out of my head. I have to program this damn thing. I really, really want this damn thing. I've also really wanted the ability to set up alerts for the probability weighted pivot on range probabilities for the longest time, or rather on probability pivots. And now, because I actually have this, and again, this is one of the indicators you can just go onto my profile and check out. And I did a whole new update for it for the alerts. So you can scroll through it, look at all the features. Dude, this is there's more customizability in this one pivot point indicator than so many other indicators. Yeah, and here's the latest update. You can see all the alerts. So I'm going to make an alert for myself right now for the probability weighted pivot. Once per bar. And then I'm going to change the setting to low. And I'm going to wait till it loads up the low data. And I'm going to add alert. Probability pivots. Crossing the probability weighted pivot. And hit create. There we go. Now I have my alerts for when we cross the probability weighted pivot. And just as an FYI, if there are any problems with the alerts, let me know as soon as possible. Because as I tried testing out the alerts to the best of my ability on like really, really short time frames. You can only test alerts on real time charts. So I did my best to try and make sure that the alerts triggered, and I spent like 2 days testing the alerts to make sure on myself. But if for some reason the alerts, for whatever reason, if they don't, let me know, because it's a very, very, very quick fix if there is an alert that doesn't hit off. And I have yet to have any of my alerts not go off. So all of this stuff that I'm doing right here, I've had all this stuff work. But if none of this stuff works for you for whatever reason, there is also tutorials for how to set this all up. In the trading group, you get access to videos and tutorials that actually shows you how to use this thing. And of course, there's access to me directly, and that's always kind of the best way to do it. Other than, watching the streams, how to look at, oh, here are these odds. Oh, what are these pivot point things, man? So I will just keep watching the streams, right? I don't usually talk about my indicators nowadays on my streams. Isn't it kind of crazy? Nowadays, I focus more so on, hey, man, we really have to stay on top of our geopolitical research on all these elections going on in Europe and around the world and how they impact all these currencies. And then we have to follow up on what all the smartest people are saying, publicly in their research notes. And all that information is free, available on the Discord. And that's this option right here with the link in the description. Very, very cool stuff. Very, very cool stuff. And it seems like we were correct, Ari, on the call to fade this. Because so far, fading it has worked out well. However, it hasn't worked out as well as I would have anticipated. I would have wanted this to, I don't know why it snapped down. We expected the fade, but I really would have expected this thing to at least be, 10 or 20 pips higher than the price we were at before the Canadian CPI actually came out. So I'm kind of wondering what's going on here. I'm still going to maintain a bullish expectation here, though. I don't see a reason not to. Yeah, it all sells. Did you mean smells? I don't know, man. Sells. Ah, boy, oh boy. Let's see here. Anything else we can check out? Oh, and again, we looked at the odds, the poly market odds, and it looks like those tariffs are getting put back on. 85% chance that those tariffs on Canada and Mexico are getting put back on. And yeah, not a whole lot of new information there in the outlooks so far. If we check out the heat map, what's going on? Yeah, New Zealand is still getting hit hard. The dollar is winning across the board. And yeah, yen and Swiss franc are just kind of hanging out. Is there another pair you guys want me to check out in the meantime? Because I'm ready to clock out here to start preparing for RBNZ. And speaking of RBNZ, again, that's the next stream. I put the link to that already in the chat. That next stream we'll be focusing on New Zealand dollar. Actually, real quick, let's check that out. We also have a few things, right? Central banks, yeah, Westpac, New Zealand RBNZ Pulse Client Survey. We can dip a little bit into that now. I don't see why not. Oh, this is Kelly Eckhold. Kelly Eckhold is the of New Zealand analysis in Westpac. So 50 basis points, that's like pretty much fully priced in at this point. Expectations for inflation 2 years from now remain skewed towards the upper half of the target range. Investors are unsure. The final, Australia also has this problem where inflation expectations are higher, like a lot higher. Clock out. I mean, I'll clock out after this. We're almost there. We're almost there. I'm finding excuses to stay. I'm finding good excuses to stay. Oh, that's actually technically a buying signal on the boss bands. I don't know if I would trust that though, considering we're expecting to get an RBNZ cut here. Investors think the RBNZ will see tariffs as slightly inflationary, but in general don't see the RBNZ drawing strong conclusions. Investors are split on the direction of the exchange rate, although few think it will remain around current levels by end year. All right, so let's real quick port and search for New Zealand dollar. Where will New Zealand dollar end in 2025? Let's. Wow. Okay. Let's look at these two big options. So these three middle ones are these three right here. So the most people think New Zealand dollar will be in the 200 pip handle of 58 to 60. Call it 58 to 60. Which would mean about another 100, 150 pips higher from here. The next largest constituency is, frankly, these two. The 52 to 56 zone. And the reason I bring that up is because of this and this, where purple, it takes up a larger chunk here and here. So it seems like the thing that a lot of people have their eye on is 58 to 60 handle. So on the chart, that would be doing something along these lines here. So here's 58, here's 60. This is the price range that these guys over here are. Right? That's this price range. There we go. Let's delete that. And now the next price range is 54 to 56. So this is the next and arguably more likely price range. So something like this. That's these purple ones right here. And then those are the pink ones. And then the purple ones are the next 200 pips lower, which is down to like here. So that would be boom, by the end of the year. So some people think there's going to be a gradual decline. Some people think there's going to be a pretty nasty decline. I think the people who are expecting sub 54 are anticipating tariffs to hit New Zealand and also expecting more rate cuts to come in and higher inflation. Don't get me wrong, I think higher inflation is for New Zealand is coming, especially considering there's actually a lot more people moving out of New Zealand to Australia. New Zealand doesn't have, New Zealand also has their own cost of living crisis going on. Oh yeah, and I did. Yeah, that's right. I'm looking at a message. I did take a euro dollar short a few hours ago during the last stream. Let's check up on that. Yeah, New Zealand will cop more than Aussie in a tariff scenario. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's a smaller economy. It'll get hit a lot harder. It'll get hit a lot harder. So I'll be frank. I got stopped out on this. I then re-entered it because I thought that was a mistake, and glad I did because I've made all that back. And you can tell it was a mistake as all this volatility and sharp bars came in. I'm like, what the hell is... So I was just like, I just brushed it off. I'm like, I don't know what the hell happened, but I'm just getting back in. I don't give a shit. Nothing with the plan changed. And now we got a pretty bearish setup here, so I am more or less gonna hold on to this and potentially add in it tomorrow with a move along these lines. Again, this is the thing I really would be expecting. This is like hope that Europe doesn't try and be combative with Trump, because if Europe goes down this path of creating a war party against Russia and trying to prevent Trump from solidifying peace with Russia, it would actually bring us further down, because then Europe would be spending even more money. They need to pull back this war party thing, like this emergency meeting they had in Paris, and the special leaders summit they had with Starmer recently. All that shit's got to go. All that shit's got to stop. The euro will disappear and will be like totally shit-faced if those guys want to try and warmonger with Russia at this point. Like, Russia is not going to war with Europe. They don't want to go to war with Europe. Russia doesn't. But, the United States has been sending a lot of stuff to Ukraine. A lot of these European countries have been sending a lot of stuff to Ukraine. It's effectively a proxy war. And for what? Like, legitimately for what? I mean, all the stuff that's happened with Ukraine was effectively due to Obama. I mean, I was playing EVE Online during the Evil Rat days, so I got, a healthy earful of that from what happened in Benghazi and that whole shebang, man. Yeah, I don't know if what I just said is word salad or not to you guys, but that was when I was a lot younger, so I don't trust these globalist types. They haven't been doing good stuff. They haven't treated my generation very well. Again, go back to that research we were looking at earlier with why are all of the people who are 18 to 35 or even younger than 18, why are all these guys going right? Well, because effectively the left, even the moderate left, are communists and they're anti-free speech. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of people who will say the same shit that I do, and in sometimes a more eloquent way. And I'm just a guy who runs a YouTube trading group and channel, and I sell indicators and whatnot, right? But before this, I ran my own gaming community. I still hang out with a bunch of guys from then, and you know, some of them aren't around anymore because of the fuck ups politicians have made. They're not with us here on this mortal realm. They've had a cosmic change of address. It's a funny way of putting it, but it's the funny way I like to put it. And deliberately, explicitly, I can point to like, oh, that politician fucked up, and that meant so and so isn't around here today. So whenever I talk about politics, I'm less theoretical about it than a lot of other commentators. Because there's a lot of people who are very popular online who will say, this is really bad, you shouldn't be anti-free speech, but it's more like, I have my hands in the dirt of the consequences of what these globalists have done. It's not not a great feeling. But with that in mind, you can understand maybe why I voted for Trump 3 times. And now I'm very, very happy with him. I'm very, very happy with him. I mean, I have still the Palmer Lucky. Oh my god, I remember when the Palmer Lucky thing first happened. I was so upset. This guy, he's, I remember learning about him when he got fired from Facebook, and I was like, oh my god, this is, this sucks for this guy. But I remember the news cycle, and that was all around Gamergate and the Me Too movement and all that crap. Now, everyone has their thing to say about it. I'm not going to go into it. I kind of just did. God, I lived in California for a long time. Me Too made some men insufferable to hang around because all they talk about is like how evil women were, and it made a lot of women insufferable to hang around because all they could talk about is how evil men were. It really drove a huge divide for, you wonder why a lot of, at least in the United States, I can speak to why a lot of younger guys like haven't had successful relationships or not getting married as much. It's subversion. It's a very subversive culture and shit like that. And then for guys like Palmer there, and I'll go ahead and put the link to that in the description. It's a great video to watch. But Palmer's a great guy to watch, and he also has been personally impacted. He's a great storyteller. He can describe the way these people who need to leave Europe now have almost destroyed the United States. Oh my god, they wanted to put fucking Kamala Harris in. Yikes. Just yikes. I'll always be very grateful for Brett Breyer, the Fox News journalist who was able to get the one interview with Kamala Harris. And oh my god, that was such a terrible interview. Oh my god, I think that was the end of her campaign when she gave that interview with Brett Breyer. I mean, I'm one to speak because I followed that election cycle for like 2 years in the research threads, right? If you go to research forum and you scroll down here all the way down, let's see here, where is it? US presidential election. Yeah, 2024 United States presidential election. And you go all the way back up here. October 27th, 2023 is when I started following the research and posting every day about the political developments and commentary and the odds. And then, yeah, January 20th, Inauguration Day, the end of the thread. And so the same thing I'm doing with the US presidential election, I am now, thankfully, you can go up here and click on elections. And here's the Canadian election, the German election, the Australian election, the UK election, the Spanish election, the French election, the midterms coming up in 2 years, the US midterms, the local elections in the UK, the Japanese House of Councillors election. We're gonna have to talk about that at some point here. Let's see. Let's go scroll up. When are these again? The 27th of July. Half of the members of the House of Councillors, which is essentially the Senate for Japan, is up for election. So half of the senators in Japan are up for election here in July. So there's so many political things going on this year, man. So many political things going on. And I should probably mention that because of the meeting with Ishiba, because that went well. Oh my god, did you guys see the fucking gift that Ishiba gave Trump? Oh my god. Ishiba Trump gift. Oh, here's a great guy I like to follow. Jeffrey Hall. Look at this thing. The Prime Minister Ishiba brought a special gift to Trump, the Eternal Helmet, a gold samurai helmet created by a company in the Prime Minister's hometown. Japanese government officials commented that such helmets are currently popular in the US thanks to Otani and the Shogun TV series. Look at this. It's just, I read a comment saying when Ishiba saw it, he said, you need to put way more gold on it. Look at that thing, man. And it's just plated with gold. Yeah, the two requirements were the helmet had to be wearable. It should use as much gold as possible. Because, of course, Trump loves gold. Oh, man. Isn't that crazy, man? So, the meeting with Ishiba went very, very well. You can take my word on it. I mean, I can actually pull it up here in the House of Councillors thread. If I go all the way down here, yeah, you can see here all the pictures of Trump and Ishiba smiling, hanging out, shaking hands. This was when? February 8th, not that long ago. This is like a week ago. A week and a half ago. Japan, US agreed to have FX matters in the hand of finance chiefs, Ishiba says. Yeah. Actually, I should forward that to the Forex channel. Just in case anyone missed that. And there were a bunch of interviews, and apparently Trump really, really liked this. Here, I'll just click on this, bring this up. Trump is visibly impressed after Ishiba, Prime Minister, Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba, shut down a reporter who tried baiting him over tariffs. Reporter said, if the US places tariffs on Japanese imports, would Japan retaliate? And then Shiba says, I am unable to respond to a theoretical question. Trump said, hey, that's a very good answer. Oh, wow.
If the US places tariffs on Japanese imports, would Japan retaliate?
I am unable to respond to a theoretical question. That's the official answer that we have. That's a very good answer. Very good answer. Wow. That's very good. He knows what he's doing. Thank you very much, everybody.
So Trump and Ishiba are getting along just fine. Which means that Ishiba's party, the LDP, if I recall correctly, the Liberal Democrat Party of Japan, is more likely to get their seats back, because they lost a lot of seats because there was a scandal that happened. And so Ishiba is, because he's been able to successfully rebuild, the Japanese relationship with Trump, it seems like Ishiba is going to remain the prime minister, and Ishiba's party will be able to at least maintain their majority in the House of Councilors come the next election. Yeah, most of the stream now is just me reviewing all the shit I've posted in Discord. It's like, oh, Joe, what have you posted in Discord in like the last 24 hours? Oh, what do you think of the charts that are going on here? Oh, what are the trades that have happened? It's just a good update spot. It's a very good update spot. And I really don't mind it, because I'll tell you, going over all the stuff happening in the world can really be overwhelming. But these streams are consistently going to be over like an hour long, which might be a bit long for, frankly, most people, especially a stream that might occur daily. Again, my commitment is I'm going to stream when shit's happening, right? Like, I'm going to be streaming later today when the RB&Z meets. But I'm just gonna keep sharing the stuff that I know, and we'll focus on continuing doing political, geopolitical research, economic outlook research, and focusing on trades. And I think with that, I'll go ahead and end the stream now. There's not too much more for me to say, but I will say the streams have been getting way more viewers. Thank you all for watching. Remember to leave the like and subscribe and all that stuff. It helps. And the streams have been doing quite well, so it means I'm doing a good job. And I'll see you guys later today for the RB&Z meeting. Remember to set up notifications for that, or if you're in the Discord, in the streams channel here, you'll just get notified of it. Alrighty, you guys. I will see you all in a bit.